All right, I'm gonna start my truck. I have mine wired up with a time delay, which has nothing to do with this thing from the factory. So while it's booting up, that 30 seconds, this is the Master Tailgaters. This is the sticker that came off of it. It's a 2-camera DVR mirror. The model number is MR-43-E2DVR. You can see it's booting up right now. It says welcome. You hear it beep, that means that it starts recording. The red light, it shows you your screen so you can look quick and make sure your date, time, your SD card. It illuminated the buttons on the screen right there. And then after 20 seconds or so, everything shuts off except this red blinking light. Just let it do its little cycle, but it's pretty easy. You know, that way you set everything on it, you start your vehicle, it starts recording. There's an SD card slot that is up on top. I'll show you the details around this in a little bit later. You put that SD card in, and once the SD card gets full, it overwrites the oldest file. So you don't need to worry about the card filling up and then like having to erase it and it not recording. Automatically erases them. If something happens on the road that you saw that you want to save, this big button right in the center, it's a lock. You can hit it. See, like I hit it, that little lock key comes up on the screen. That means that that video file that's currently recording cannot be overwritten until you manually go in and delete it. One thing this camera also does, and I'll show you later on in this video in the settings, is it has a G-Shock sensor, so if you get into an accident, it automatically will lock the file for you like that. I'll share a link to the manufacturer's website with all the tech details on the cameras and stuff, because I don't know too much about that, in the description, so you could look at that. Next thing we'll go over is we'll go outside so you can see what it looks like from outside the truck. All right, so you can see, I mean, if you're standing outside the vehicle, don't mind my dirty loud truck, but you really can't tell that that has a camera built into it unless you know and you go up and you look at it and you're like, hey, look, there's a camera right there. It just looks like a regular mirror. And the little wire that comes down with all the power and the camera connections and stuff like that, a lot of vehicles nowadays have that, so people won't even think twice about it. I thought it was pretty cool. We'll go inside now and I'll show you the up-close details of it. All right, just wanted to show you up close. I'm gonna adjust it, but see the little slot right here? That's where your SD card goes, and it's the type where you just press it in and it'll lock it in, you press it again and it takes it out. You got a nice clean looking braided wire that goes up, and then that's where you run down and you wire into your vehicle. I'm not going over the wiring and stuff in this, but it's really simple. The wiring on this, basically what it has is it has 3 wires. One's a ground, one is a constantly hot 12 volt, which you might want to run it to your battery or something, and then there's a yellow wire that's for an accessory. So you attach that to an accessory that gets power only when your key is on, and it triggers the camera to come on. And then there's also a connection for a rear view camera. But it comes with a couple different adapters and stuff. Mine's an American-made vehicle, so the one that came with it, you use a screwdriver or whatever tool you want and pop your old mirror off. This slides into place, and then, I don't know if you can see it, but there's like a little Allen screw, and you can take that and just tighten it down so it pulls all the slack out. Like, this is up there really, really solid. It feels just as solid as the factory mirror, if not better, depending on what type of vehicle you have. It's dirty from kids and me sneezing and touching all the buttons while making this video, but the glass is pretty clear. You don't really see anything. You can't really tell the screen's there until you wake it up. This is like an ambient light sensor, so if it's night, the screen dims a little bit, and then this is your light sensor. It's either green or red depending on what you're doing. But yeah, I thought it just looks nice and sleek. There's nothing crazy like some of the other ones out there that just go on over your mirror, and it looks like you freaking have a laptop attached to your rear view mirror. It's ridiculous if you ask me. But we'll go over what all the stuff on the screen means next. All right, I'm gonna wake it up here and just show you some of the options that you can change on like the user screen. You can wake it up. This first button next to it, it's sort of like a little arrow pointing left with like a cycle. What that does is it shows you can switch which screen. So see, now the internal camera is bigger and the smaller camera up on the left. Now it's showing just the internal camera. Now it's just the external camera. And I like to leave it like this, where it shows you small up on the top left is the internal. The next button is a microphone. You can see I just turned the microphone cab recording on. Hit it again to turn it off. The record button, well, that's the record button. I just turned, oh, it's still recording. No, I stopped it. Start the recording again, and then your menu button I already showed. That is showing that there's an SD card inserted. 720p is your resolution. This little timer that's climbing up, depending on what your setting is. So like mine's a 3 minute, that will go up to 3 minutes, and then it goes back to 0, and that shows you how far into that current file that you are. You have your time and date, which is your time and date stamp that's in the video. It shows that it's on 3 minute looping up here, and then the blinking red light with the camera means you're in camera mode and it's recording. In order to get into the menu, you have to stop the recording. So you turn recording off, and then the menu button is this one on the far left. You open up the menu, and then if you can see at the bottom right here, it shows different arrows. Right now it's showing a left arrow, there's a space, a down arrow, and a right arrow. The keyboard went back to sleep. Every time you back out of the menu, the camera will automatically start recording for you. So it could be a little annoying when you're trying to learn the settings, like what just happened to me. You know, I just wanted to go back into the menu and it started recording. But it's good, so like if you did something quick and then you have to drive off or whatever, you don't accidentally not have the DVR recording and then it isn't recording when something happens. I actually like it, though it could be annoying when you're messing with the settings. But anyway, wake it back up, stop the recording, go into the menu. What I was pointing out before with these arrows, they coincide with the buttons here. So for example, the third one over is the mic recording button. That's my down arrow. And I can scroll through all the different options, and I'm gonna go through these options with you to show you what they mean. Some of them are pretty self-explanatory, but for example, playback. Now, all four are up. What I can do is down, up. Then the record button is right. That means you wanna go into that menu. So to go to playback, in here, in the same idea, you have, it's showing a freeze frame of the internal camera recording. You can see the still. And then it says like reverse or fast forward. This brings up the menu to delete or protect. You can go back out just by hitting left. You hold the menu button to go back, and see, now I'm back at the main screen. It started recording again. Stop recording, go to the menu. It's not the most user-friendly interface, but realistically you just turn this thing on and it starts with your vehicle and you don't worry about it. Then the next one down is date and time. Oh, I hit the wrong button. Oops. Menu. So date and time, it's the date and time. Enter everything how you want it. It lets you pick your format, and what this is this is the date that shows up in the corner of your video file. So you can go through all of them by hitting enter, and it'll let you change. You go up and down with the arrows. Left will bring you out. The next one down is for the beep sound. Off or on. I have it on, so that way if I touch the screen by mistake or whatever, I get a beep. Next option down is your language. English, France, French, Espanol, Portuguese, Dutch, Italian, I'm assuming this is like Chinese, Japanese, Turkish, I don't know, but I speak English, so that just stays where it is. Your resolution, you can pick 1080, full HD, or 720p. I just leave it on the 1080 This is the resolution for the forward-facing camera. You're at like a standard resolution for the camera facing inboard. Keep it on 1080. If you have a smaller, actually, I think I had it on. There we go. The loop recording, what that is how big the video file is. 1 minute, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, all the way up to 10 minutes. So that means it will record the video files when you put the SD in your computer. They'll either be 1, 3, 5, or 10 minutes long. I wish they didn't go to sleep fast like that, but I leave mine set at 3 minutes. WDR, I think that's just HDR setting. To be honest, I don't know what that is. Jay, what's an HDR setting on a camera? You're the camera guy. Do you even know?
Sure.
It's some crazy Chinese thing, but I don't know. It might make the colors a little bit more vibrant. I didn't notice any difference when I looked at the video files on the computer, so I just left it off. The G sensor, this is something that you want to think about. What that is there's a sensor in this camera, so if you get into an accident and it gets jolted, it'll automatically lock that file for you. I have mine set to low because I live out in the country, and what'll happen is I hit potholes, and driving over the potholes with it set to medium or high, it thinks it's an accident. So I leave it set on low, or you can just turn it off. Park record, what that is low, medium, and high. It's basically once you turn the vehicle off, it'll continue to record for like, say, I don't even know what the time is because I found no need for it. This motion detection, this is put in the software, but I haven't found that it did anything. Maybe they make a different camera that it can detect motion when your car's parked and it will record a video, but this camera doesn't have it. It doesn't do anything when it's on or off, I found. So the recording audio, you can turn that on or off. There's also a quick button for it that I'll show you later on the main screen. Actually, I like the audio on. The date stamp is the next menu option. That's just if you want the date to be displayed in the video. I would assume you would. TV mode, if you're overseas, you know, America's NTSC for video, you can switch it to PAL. I guess when you do that, it goes and starts the menu over. But let's go back in. TV mode, the frequency, same thing. It'll switch between 60 and 50 hertz depending if you're overseas. Your format, what that'll do is that's just to format your SD card. I'm not going to format my SD card, I don't need to, but like if you put a fresh one in there, I would recommend formatting it to just wipe everything off of it so it's set up properly for using with the camera. Back that again. Let's see, it can be a little annoying, but let's see, scroll back all the way down. Default settings, you could reset it and it'll show your firmware version. You can go into it, and that's if they have an updated firmware. I honestly haven't checked if they have an updated firmware, I don't know. But those are your options inside the menu. You go out and it starts to record again. One last thing I wanted to show that I don't really care about, get the menu to come up, and the button that cycles the screens, if you hold it down, the green light comes on. See how the little Wi-Fi and it says Wi-Fi off? Oops. See this is the reason why I don't use this feature, but you hold it again. And anyway, what that does is this thing it's Wi-Fi capable, and there's an app you can get for your phone that works both with Apple and Android. And you're supposed to be able to go into it to change the settings on the DVR like I'd already showed you in the menu. I found it more frustrating going through the menu to get this to connect to your phone, and there's like a little security thing so people can't hack into it, and it doesn't even show all the settings on your phone. I had thought that that feature also would allow you to say, okay, hey, I can pull up my phone and I could get my video files off. At least for me, that didn't work. So I canned it. I didn't even bother with it, because if you need the files, you just take them off the camera or off the SD card. The last thing on this that I almost forgot to add to the video was it does have a connection for rear view camera. Now, your options are endless with the rear view camera, but I'll show you what I have. But basically, you wire it in, shift it in reverse. There it is. I don't know if it's picking it up on the camera. I have a little bit of disturbance on mine. You can see there's like some lines running through it. The reason why is I made my own wire harness going back to the rear view camera that I installed on my truck, and there's some other hot live wires, and it's just a little bit of video interference. That I had tested this before making my own harness, and the video quality was crystal clear. Then you put it back into park or drive, the screen will show back up to show you that it's still recording, and all your settings are the same. If you're driving down the road and then you go to back up into a parking spot, it's still recording forward. It doesn't stop. It would have actually been kind of nice if they put it in where the camera switches and it records when you're backing up in reverse, but I get why they didn't do that. It probably messed with like video formats and stuff like that inside. But I'll show you outside real quick my rear view camera. All right, this is the rear view camera I put on my truck. It actually is an aftermarket, but it's similar to the ones that come factory on the higher trim levels of the truck. It actually worked out good for me getting this type of loads, because that camera is compatible with the aftermarket type rear view cameras that are like a yellow RCA cable. So, you know, all the types that are out there, like the ones that go across the bracket, or the ones that you can actually drill your own little hole. I think they even have wireless ones now that are easier for running. But yeah, the rear view camera thing is just up to whatever options you want to have.